So there's a rumor out there that the big grand 20th anniversary all-glass iPhone that's supposed to celebrate 2 decades of the iPhone that's coming next year potentially, it might be dead. According to Jefferies analyst Edison Lee, Apple has scrapped the all-glass iPhone that was expected to celebrate 2 decades of the device, like I said, and his firm's supply chain now point to the project being canceled. And the reason is a familiar one: production yield. And that's the rate at which a factory can actually produce defect-free units, and if the yield is too low, the phone becomes too expensive and too unreliable to ship. Lee felt strongly enough about this that Jefferies downgraded Apple's stock to the equivalent of a sell rating and cut its price target to one of the lowest on Wall Street. Apple shares dipped a little over 2% after the note went out. Now, here's where I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit, because this is a rumor about a phone that's still more than a year away, and the reporting is not lining up totally clean. Just a few weeks before this cancellation claim, a Weibo leaker was saying factories and Apple's supply chain had finished their renovations and were ready to build this all-glass design. So on one side, you have an analyst saying the yields killed it, and on the other, you have supply chain chatter saying the lines are prepped and ready to go. Both of these can't be fully true, and honestly, with something this far out, the picture tends to shift month to month. Even the cancellation report leaves itself some wiggle room. It's not clear whether Lee is describing the death of the entire anniversary redesign or just the all-glass display portion of it. The quad-curved chassis and the other elements could still be on track, even if the seamless glass front to back never really happens. So treat this as canceled for now, or potentially just shifting in design a little bit, because we still have a lot of time. There's also a bit of history worth keeping in mind here. The idea of a completely seamless glass front has been questioned for a while, specifically the part where Apple eliminates the dynamic island entirely. Display analyst Ross Young has said the under-display Face ID needed to pull that off is unlikely to be fully ready even for 2027, so a truly borderless, cutout-free glass iPhone may never have been realistic in the first place, regardless of what Lee is hearing about yields and costs. Sometimes a phone gets canceled because it never really was achievable to begin with. The other thing Lee gets into is money, and this is the part I do find genuinely interesting. He believes all the glass styling wasn't going to stop at one anniversary model. The plan, in his view, was to eventually bring it to the Pro and Pro Max lines as a way to justify pushing those prices even higher. He estimated the anniversary phone would have been carrying blended retail price of around $2,000, which would make it the most expensive non-foldable iPhone, because we're expecting that to be pretty expensive, north of $2,000. With memory costs climbing and Apple Intelligence rolling out slowly, his argument is that Apple is losing one of its levers for charging more. Whether you buy that or not, it tells you that the anniversary phone was always about more than a cool design. It's probably more about increasing the pricing strategy. So, with the caveat that some or all of this may not survive to launch, let's go through what was actually rumored for this thing, in case you don't really know, because this feature list is genuinely one of the most ambitious we've seen for an iPhone. So the headline obviously was the curved all-glass design with an edge-to-edge display. The idea, first described by Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, was a curved iPhone with glass wrapping around the front and back and no cutouts in the display at all. Not the aggressive waterfall edges you've seen on some Samsung phones, but a shallower, equal-depth quad-curved look with what leakers called micro curves. The pitch was that gentler curves would make edge swipes feel more natural and reduce the distortion you get when content bends around a sharp edge. One leak even claimed a bezel of just over 1 millimeter, down from around 1.44 on the iPhone 17 Pro. Bending the display circuitry around every edge reportedly required a special ultra-thin film to protect the OLED panel from moisture and air, which gives you a sense of how hard this is probably actually going to be to build, and why we might be hearing some rumors that that plan at least might be dead. The display itself was supposed to be a real leap. Apple was reported to be using a Samsung panel with a technique called color filter on encapsulation, which drops the polarizing film and puts the color filter right onto the encapsulation layer. In plain terms, that makes the display stack thinner, lets more light through, and improves brightness while using less power. It was said to be paired with the next generation 16nm driver chips and a crater-shaped light diffusion layer meant to keep brightness even across the whole screen, including those tricky curved edges. Under-display Face ID was the feature that makes the seamless front actually possible. Apple reportedly wanted to move the Face ID sensors beneath the panel using a spliced micro-transparent glass window that lets the infrared sensors see through the display. This is the piece that would let Apple finally kill the dynamic island. It's also, as I mentioned, the piece analysts are least confident about, so who knows if this actually happens. Unlike the original iPhone X, which shipped in one size, the anniversary iPhone was rumored to come in two sizes, roughly matching the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max at 6.3 and 6.9 inches. The larger one might even get marketed as a 7-inch iPhone thanks to the slimmer bezels and all-screen design. On the camera side, Apple was said to be developing its own stacked image sensor to replace the Sony sensors that it currently uses across its lineup. A working prototype was reportedly already built, and it uses some pretty crazy technology which lets each pixel store different amounts of light, and the claim was that it could reach up to 20 stops of dynamic range. If that holds up, that's a serious jump in what the camera can capture in tougher lighting situations. And then there was the solid-state haptic buttons. Apple was rumored to be reviving an old effort called Project Bongo to replace the mechanical side buttons, volume buttons, and action button, and the camera control with haptic versions built into the frame. These reportedly passing tests for gloves, wet hands, extreme temperatures, and even with a case on. There's also a claim that an ultra-low energy chip would keep the buttons working even when the phone is powered off, or if the battery was to die, which is a nice touch if that is real. Under the hood, both anniversary models were expected to use a second-generation 2nm chip called the A21, shared with the second-generation foldable iPhone. Apple is also reportedly looking at mobile high-bandwidth memory, a type of DRAM that sticks memory chips vertically to move data faster. Connecting that to the GPU was seen as a strong candidate for boosting on-device AI performance, which Apple, I'm sure, really wants to do. The modem story is a US-specific one worth calling out. Apple has been building its own modems, the C1, C1X, and C2. We've got rumors this year that the US models might just go and stick with Qualcomm. The anniversary iPhone was supposed to be the point where Apple designed modem finally comes to the high-end phones in the United States with the promise of better efficiency and better battery life. So who knows if that happens, but right now it looks like for this year's models, Apple might go back to Qualcomm and other regions would get the C2. Hopefully that changes for the 20th anniversary. And on battery, Apple was said to be pairing the new display with pure silicon battery technology, which packs more energy into the same space than a standard lithium-ion cell. A few more items got mentioned by a single leaker without much to back them up, including reverse wireless charging, under-display audio that gets rid of the earpiece slit, and a next-generation ceramic shield. So take those as like the softest rumors in the pile, but that's the current situation. Would love to hear from you on the iPhone 20th anniversary. Do you think it's going to ship with this very ambitious idea for the waterfall curved glass that's going to blend in seamlessly as like all one piece? Or do you think Apple had to just kill it like the rumors suggest because it was just too difficult to make defect-free devices at a good yield? But let me know in the comments down below. And would love to hear from you about this 20th anniversary iPhone. This has been with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you around in the next video.